let's move to what we have,
Okay.
what goodies we have here on the
Okay,
table.
so yes. So since we're talking about forms of herbal medicine, these are our herbs. And most people don't think of herbs as spices, but they are. They're plants. And we use them to season our food. But the difference in using them for herbal medicine is the quality and also the quantity. There are spices in the grocery store. You know, we could go down the aisle and we can find some turmeric, and we can find cinnamon, we can find other things, and cayenne, and all of these they're all herbs. We just don't think of them that way. But using plants as medicine is herbalism. And so our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers, before modern medicine existed, they would send kids out into the yard to pick something, and they'd brew up a tea, or they'd make a poultice. And a poultice. So a poultice is just taking a plant and crushing it and
releasing
and sticking it on.
So you release like the enzymes and the oils from that plant and stick it onto the.
So like one of the things that kids can do is like make a spit poultice. So there's like plantain that grows out, you know, in the neighborhoods, and you can actually chew it up and take it out and spit it out and put it on a boo-boo, and it soothes it. Plantain is very soothing and cooling for, you know, scratches and, you know, bruises and, you know, things like that. And poultices, you know, can be made by, you know, putting herbs into, you know, folding them into cloth, little fabric, soaking them, and then putting them, you know, on the skin or on the abdomen, or, you know, whatever you're using it for. So, you know, herbs can be used externally, say, you know, using making a strong tea of some type, and soaking a cloth in that tea, and then applying it to the body, say applying a cool compress to something hot, and like a rash or eczema or something like that. So herbs can be used externally as well as internally. So we can use plants in so many different ways. And again, you know, our great-grandmothers and our great-great-grandmothers, they knew how to use herbs for healing, and knew how to use food as for healing as well. And that's another thing that you get seeing an herbalist that you don't get, unfortunately, seeing your doctor. Because your doctor a lot of times won't tell you what to eat. And that may be because they don't know. Doctors don't get a lot of training in nutrition. Unfortunately, they get very little. So they don't really know how foods can heal. As a part of an herbal consultation, we would take a look at some of the foods that you're eating, and then be able to recommend foods to add to your diet to help you. So back to the herbs. So this first one is cassia bark, which we, you know, most of us know as cinnamon. And so this is the actual bark. And so it's in like little chips. You see the bark here?
Yeah.
It's like little chips.
Now, what's the difference between this and, let's say, a cinnamon stick?
So that's a bark as well, but it's a different form. So you can get herbs that are chopped up. They're rolled in sticks, and they're different types of cinnamon. So it's not just there isn't just one type of cinnamon. This happens to be cassia bark. And this particular one, I actually put into a coffee grinder. And I just kind of turned it on, put the bark in, and then we made
a little powder.
Now,
what would you do with that?
Well, there are many things that we would do with it. A lot of times we use, you can put that down. A lot of times we use cinnamon to sweeten herbal formulas and powders that we're trying to get kids to take, because cinnamon is very, very sweet. And cinnamon is also really, really good for stabilizing blood sugar. So you may find cinnamon in herbal formulas. because it is one of the things that it does is help to stabilize blood sugar.
Okay.
But it's great to sweeten herbal medicine for children or for people who, might have trouble with the taste of it.
Okay.
So this is a powder made of adaptogens. So these are powdered herbs.
I was going to say adaptogens are
herbs. They're a class of herbs that are specifically good for helping the body to deal with stress, give you more stamina. They help with sleep, energy,
so this
strength.
is equivalent to the blue pill?
The blue pill, the man pill.
Yeah, the blue man pill.
Not necessarily. You don't have to be.
Well, you said stamina, so I was just asking.
But of course, adaptogenic herbs can be used
In
by
place of the
men
blue pill.
to enhance their performance, but any physical performance. So
Right.
you could use adaptogens for your workout at the gym. You could use them to help you sleep because the body actually needs energy to sleep. Because
Okay.
again, when we were talking about circadian rhythms, you think about how much energy the body is actually using while it's doing all that healing during your sleep. So some people will say, I'm too tired to sleep. And that's a very real thing. So being too tired to sleep prevents that healing process from happening during that time of the night when you actually are supposed to be resting and sleeping. So adaptogens can actually help with you being too tired to sleep, can help you, give you the energy that you need to sleep.
Okay.
Right, because the body does use energy during sleep.
Right.
So one adaptogen in particular we use all the time to help people just support their stress level, just in general, and to help them to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what else do we have here?
So, and then this is just a leaf, the dandelion leaf. And many people will use leaves in tea bags or in tea strainers, the little tea ball, the mashed tea balls.
Right.
You've seen those. You can put a leaf, the cut and sifted herb, into a tea ball, drop it in a cup of water, let it steep, and drink the tea. So the medicine is, in your tea. That's called an infusion.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, this dandelion isn't the dandelion that's in your yard,
No.
Okay.
It's the same plant, but it definitely came from a different place. There are people who use dandelion for a number of things, and dandelion is it's a great weed. We tend to kill them, but they really have a lot of medicinal value. Yes. But the ones in your yard are exposed to a lot of things that you don't want to go out and harvest them, because if your neighbor is using ChemLawn, some of those chemicals are drifting over into your yard, onto your dandelions, and you don't really want to make tea out of that. You don't want to ingest those chemicals. Then you have animals that, people walk their dogs, and, so the dandelion may end up tainted. So if you go to Wild Harvest, you need to go way out.
But even if you go way out, isn't there animals out there too?
Well, less animal traffic, I would think, because people are walking their dogs through neighborhoods, and dogs kind of pull over into the yard, and so you kind of have to do it where it's a low traffic area.
Oh, I thought you would have more traffic because you'd have bears and deer and possums and raccoons and whatever else that's out there in the woods.
Well, I think that, anything that we eat is going to be exposed to things that live there.
Right.
But maybe not so much urine in that kind of concentration when you're talking about dogs and pets.
Right.
Because pets eliminate, in the neighborhood. And so your plants are exposed to, all of that. And so we kind of want to stay away from that. But, so using herbs in powder form, using herbs, when you use barks, roots, very, very tough parts of a plant, you would use them, you would decoct them. A decoction is actually putting the roots and barks into water and boiling it, and then letting it simmer and decocting it for a certain amount of time. And that, because that plant matter is much tougher, and you know, it takes a little bit more to get the constituents out, as opposed to just dropping it into some hot water and infusing and having it infuse, you know, into the hot water. It's going to take a little bit more to get it out of a bark or a root than it would from a leaf or the aerial parts of the plant. And then powdering down an herb, like I did with this cinnamon, you can powder down. I could put this leaf in a coffee grinder, powder it down, and drop it in a smoothie. So say if you wanted to use an herb in leaf form and you didn't want to drink the tea, but you have a smoothie every morning, you could put an herbal powder into your smoothie, whip it in, and
keep
you know,
moving.
right. And also for kids, you can put powdered herbs in smoothies for children.
Right.
They don't know it's there because you have other things in there that will, you know, mask the taste.
Okay, and what else? What's this blue bottle?
So this, using herbs, this is just another form, another option is a tincture. And a tincture is simply using a menstruum, a liquid, to extract the constituents from the plant. Many tinctures are made with alcohol, and the alcohol is one of the best menstruums to use because it is particularly effective at pulling the constituents from the plant. However, there are plants that work best with vinegar or glycerin. Not necessarily you wouldn't necessarily use them, you know, in alcohol to make a tincture. But there are tinctures also made from glycerin that are good for children.
Okay.
So
is there any particular type of alcohol or just whatever you grab off the shelf?
Well, a lot of the tinctures are made with grain alcohol.
Which is illegal in a lot of states.
Well,
so you gotta go find your backwoods person, make you some moonshine.
Moonshine. You actually can just go to the liquor store and get something like, you know, an Everclear or vodka.
Not in Maryland anymore. It's illegal in the state of Maryland.
Really?
Yes, it became illegal in July.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad I bought all mine before that. So vodka. Vodka is another, you know, and grain alcohol is pretty strong. So you could actually, you know, get a tincture. A lot of tinctures are used, and I'm not sure if, you know, a lot of people are going to go out and make their own tinctures, but they can buy a bottle of tincture, and you know, usually there's a label on, and it will tell you how many drops of tincture to use. So, you know, many of them will say, you know, use 15 drops, and you would take 15 drops or 30 drops or whatever, you know, the dose would be. Put that in water. You could put it straight in your mouth if you could, you know, get it down that way. Put so many drops in a little bit of water, and then just swallow it down, you know, just a small amount of water. The herbal tinctures could be dropped into a tea, particularly if it's an alcohol tincture. People who are sensitive to alcohol, or someone like me who doesn't like the taste of alcohol, I normally put a little bit of hot water in a cup, drop my tincture there, wait for a few minutes, let the alcohol evaporate, and then just drink it down. You know, it's an easy way. It's a great way to carry your herbal medicine with you, because you can drop that in your pocket. You can take it. You don't have to brew a cup of tea.
Right. TSA would probably try to take it, but that's another story.
Well, yeah, they would. But, you know, if you had a small enough bottle, you know, maybe a 1 ounce bottle, I don't know what you could. So a 1 ounce bottle, you could probably get on a plane without any problem. But, you know, who knows?
Put in a plastic bag.
So those are just different ways to take herbs. And then, of course, you know, eating plants, you know, eating some of the plants. Dandelion, while we're talking about dandelion greens make a wonderful salad. So you can get your dandelion that way. And there are many international grocery stores that you could go to and get dandelion greens. Again, you know, there are people who could harvest their own. Could go out into the yard, grab their own dandelion greens, and go in and make their salad, or, you know, just eat them that way. So there are, you know, many ways to use herbs and take herbs other than having to do capsules. With herbal powders, you could, you know, I tend to buy empty capsules, because of the vegetarian capsules, and I will make up capsules for clients and for myself. And people can buy those empty capsules, you know, scoop up some cinnamon in there, take cinnamon capsules with them. Or you know what? Dump it into your oatmeal. That's a way to get your cinnamon in. But typically when you're using herbal medicine, you do need more than what you would use for culinary purposes. They're great. Turmeric is great to season our food, but you would need more than that if you were using it for a particular health issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Well, I would say the one thing that I would say about herbal medicine that really resonated with me was that when you come in to talk with an herbalist, you really get personal attention and you get personalized medicine. And that is something that our medical community doesn't offer us anymore. I can say that there are a few doctors, like my medical doctor is also a naturopathic doctor.
Okay.
So I can walk in with him and I can sit down with him and he will literally come into the room, he'll pull up a chair next to me, much like we're sitting here. He'll cross his legs and we'll just talk about my health. People don't get that. And people need that. I need to know more about you as the person so that we can take everything into consideration so that we give your body specifically what it needs to heal. And that's something that's missing.
Now, are herbalists covered under people's health insurance plans?
There are herbalists who accept health insurance.
Okay.
Yes, they are. And there are, I think there are going to be more herbalists now accepting health insurance because we're moving, into a time where our baby boomers are, looking at the dozens of pills on the dresser and saying, you know what, they don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
And they're looking for alternative medicine and they're looking for ways to support their health without having to deal with a lot of side effects. And so herbalists are being more herbalists are offering health insurance as an option for people to come in. So, not everyone has to pay out of pocket for herbal medicine. And I think that we will see that trend will grow, as the demand for herbal medicine increases, and it definitely is on the rise. Okay. People are really looking at other ways to support themselves, and herbal medicine again supports the whole person. The person's mental state is going to have an effect on the physical body, and a person's spirituality will have an effect on the mental and the physical body. You can't separate them. And what we tend to do in this country is we look at a list of symptoms and we match a drug to those symptoms. Let's take Kevin out of the equation. Who Kevin is and how Kevin is hardwired has nothing to do with how I'm going to treat him. This is what we get, in our medical system. And the sad part of that is that when we all get treated the same way, we all suffer. There are some of us who suffer more than others because there are people who, and I know people that say, well, I tried this and it didn't work. And someone else will say, oh, it's wonderful. It's the best thing since toast. Right. So why does it work so well for one person and not at all for another person? Because two totally different people were given the very same thing to do the same thing in their bodies, and their bodies are working in different ways and operating in different ways. If your constitution is dry, why would I give you something that's more drying, more aggravating?
Right.
And if my constitution is hot, why would I take something that will make me more hot or more cold if I'm cold? So in an herbal formula, and we would take into consideration, do you run hot or cold, Kevin? What's your temperature?
Me?
Yeah, do you run hot or cold? Hot. So
yeah, I run hot.
You run hot.
Yeah.
So if I made an herbal formula for you, I would not put cayenne in that formula as a catalyst. because there are herbs that actually act as catalysts. They get the herbs to where they need to go, and they also help harmonize. They help the herbs to work together. Herbs work very well synergistically, which is why, going back to the Dr. Oz effect, you get one herb, as opposed to coming to an herbalist and getting a formula that will work well synergistically.
Right.
So in your formula, I would definitely not put something hot, in there, or something that would be, that would aggravate your already hot constitution. I would put something in there that's a little bit more cooling and soothing for you. Something, cool. I would tell you, well, Kevin, go eat some seaweed, because the energy of seaweed is a very cooling, cold energy. Okay. So I would say, go have some seaweed, Kevin, because that's very cooling. And we know that, a lot of us know this. Like, people will say, he's cool as a cucumber. Cucumbers are cool. So in the dead of winter, a person with a cold constitution, I wouldn't tell them to go have a cucumber salad. I'll go have
some cayenne salad. Okay.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah. So you see how a person's
or
energetic.
sprinkle cayenne on that cucumber.
Yeah, and balance it out. Warm up the cucumber.
Yeah.
That's an idea. But again, treating you based on how you are hardwired, based on your constitution, that creates a much better effect. Yes.
Excellent.
All right.
I've learned a lot.
Yes. Yes.
We're going to have you back.
Yes, I would be more than happy to come
Thank
back.
you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thanks for
All right.
having me. All right.
Folks, thank you for Michele for being with us. You can find Michele at Medicine Earth Wellness and medicineearthwellness.com. Look forward to more shows. Rise up, live better. We're here to educate, inspire, and uplift. Peace and love.